my name is Andrea Sheely, and this week we are going to discuss the different practice settings in occupational therapy. So the first one says, share what you learned while completing this week's simulation. So my favorite part about this simulation was the fact that we explored different practice settings in our own community. I was born and raised in Lima, Ohio, and I really had no idea how many opportunities there were for occupational therapy. One of my favorite places I think I found while doing this week's simulation was there's an equestrian therapy within 25 minutes of my house, and it was just awesome to know that they hire both OTs and PTs on their staff, and just cool to know that I could be part of something so close to home, but also just the opportunity to reach so many different clients. My community also has a very large outpatient clinic called OIO, Ohio Institute of Orthopedics, and it is a huge setting where lots of physical therapists, occupational therapists, CODAs, PTAs, they're all hired to work with these clients who have orthos, hips, knees, hands, shoulders, and it's just a really cool setting. And I knew a little bit about it, but as I did more research, it was fun to just find out how big they were and just how much opportunity there was in my community. So the next question reads, why is it important to understand the different adult practice settings where occupational therapy can be found? So for me, I know that when I'm working in a SNF setting, sometimes the clients are like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I can go home, if I'm going to be able to take care of myself. There are other times where the client is like, I don't know if I'm getting enough care here in the SNF. I'm feeling really sick. I haven't been feeling well lately. So I think it's important as an occupational therapy practitioner, especially I think in the hospital setting, to kind of help clients be familiar where they can find occupational therapy. Say a client is at the hospital and they're getting ready to discharge and they don't know, should I go home with home health occupational therapy or should I go to a SNF and receive more rehab? It's just important to be able to educate your clients. Okay, well, if you do go home and you get home health, they're only going to be there 3 to 4 times a week for an hour at the maximum, and is that truly enough care for you? Are you going to be able to take care of yourself, or is your family going to be able to provide the right amount of support if you discharge home? Okay, so maybe discharging home isn't the right setting. Let's talk about a SNF. What happens at the skilled nursing facility? How many times a week will you receive occupational therapy? Typically it's about 5 to 6 depending on things like insurance, how many employees they have, that sort of thing. So it's important to be aware of these settings so that we can educate our clients, especially when they're getting ready to discharge, but it's also important to be aware so that we can communicate with interdisciplinary teams. If an interdisciplinary team is deciding on, hey, we want to suggest to this client that they go to a skilled nursing facility, he's ready to discharge home from the hospital, but he's not ready to go home, and you have no idea as an OT what a skilled nursing facility is and what they can cover and how they can help the client, you're not really going to be able to help the team determine what the best setting for discharge is for your clients. The third question reads, if you had to choose, which adult practice setting would you prefer and why? So I have worked in skilled nursing since I have become a CODA. It has been the last 8, almost 9 years of my life, and I don't think I would change that at all. I love just getting to work with these sweet little clients who they just have so much information and they have so much knowledge and their stories are just so great, and I could not imagine working anywhere where I don't get to fall in love with the clients that I work with. It's just the love of my life is to work with clients who just, even when they're grouchy, I love it. I love the grouchy old men who are like, I don't need occupational therapy. Just working on them and working with them and getting to see their progress and day in and day out, because sometimes they stay at your facility for months, and it's just great. Like, they get to the point where they start to ask you, like, oh, did you do this last night? Or I've had clients comment about, like, oh, you cut your hair today, and it's just fun. It's fun to get to know clients and really work with them, and I love that geriatric population. So then the second question reads, if you had to choose, which adult setting do you find to be the most challenging? I would say the acute care and the inpatient hospitals. I would say that's the most challenging, just because I really don't have very much experience with it. I did do a CODA rotation in an acute care hospital, and it was fun. I love challenging myself. I love getting opportunity to learn new things. I think that you do see a lot more diagnoses and different treatments than you do necessarily in a skilled nursing facility. I just don't have that experience, so it would be a little bit more challenging for me to just jump right in and know exactly what I was doing, but I know that I can adapt, and I know that I can get through anything. The last question reads, what are 3 evaluation assessments that can be used by an occupational therapist within the acute, inpatient rehab, and outpatient adult setting? So in acute and inpatient rehab settings, we could use the performance assessment of self-care skills, so the PASS. We could also use the modified Barthel ADL skill, index scale. And finally, the assessment of motor process skills, the AMPS, is a great assessment to use. And sometimes it's also important to use, like, if you have specific diagnoses, like a stroke impact scale. So for the assessments for the outpatient adults, that could use the executive function performance test, the functional reach test, the time up and go test, the Berg balance, making sure that with those outpatient clients, we're really challenging them and making sure that they're safe if they're going to be living in a home setting and then coming into the clinic. Thank you. Have a great day.